Hello, everyone, and welcome to New York Comic Con 2019. I'm Phil Casey with the Comic Pals, and joining me today is author of Immortal Hulk, Al Ewing.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm very sleep deprived. I have not been sleeping lately. It's part jet lag, it's part work.
Is that a confluence that will result in great innovation for future Immortal Hulk?
I believe so. I believe it will.
I'm not surprised. Has your con been going well so far?
It's been going nice. Everybody's been very pleasant. Everybody's been very excited about the news that's been coming out. The Guardians announcement. Everybody seems very excited about that.
Yeah.
We're very excited to do it.
Yeah.
Everybody's had very nice things to say about Immortal Hulk and Marvel 1000. Incoming, people are excited about that. There's a general sense of positivity. I've yet to have anybody say anything negative.
You did mention this positivity here.
Yes, there is loads and loads of it. It's I'm really happy with the amount of people who've just been coming up and saying how much they've been enjoying the book. After like 24 issues, to feel like we've still got that momentum, it's a really great feeling.
Yeah, I mean, the book has been both a massive critical and financial success. Every time I go into a store, they're sold out of issues and trades. Has it hit you, the success of this book?
I mean, it's I feel a level of job security that I previously did not, and it's been explained to me that I've sort of gone up a level in terms of. But it's like, from my point of view, I'm just writing the comics, and it's like, I just do what I do, and hopefully it keeps selling and it keeps getting the good reviews. But at the end of the day, I'm just working on it, and we'll see what comes of it.
I know a lot of folks, we're in October at this point, have mentioned it as being perhaps the best book of 2019. While penning this title, has there been that feeling like I am doing something special?
I mean, sometimes yes. Certainly issue 25, which is out at the end of this month, all the way during that, from the script to like getting the art back off German, getting the colours from Chris O'Halloran, there's a couple of pages from Joe and the usual Gamma Gang.
Yeah.
And like getting those pages. Every step of the way on issue 25, I've been feeling like this is it. This is the one where we do another leap. We do another of these kind of jumps that we do. And everybody was talking about 19, everybody's talking about 24.
Issue 7 even?
Issue 7, I was surprised at that because that was kind of the only time we were like writing to... I sort of planned it out as like, we should have the Avengers guest star at this point. And I was thinking in terms of like, I'm writing a book that's going to do like a good 40,000. So like issue 7, we should have some juicy guest stars to sort of, give us a little bit of a boost at that point. We were like... By the time the Avengers got there, it was like, okay, well, but people still love that issue, so it all worked out, And I was very glad to have them, because it set a certain tone, like what the Hulk did to them and, how they treated the Hulk in return. It set a certain tone of how things were going to be in our team-ups and crossovers. And again, like Absolute Carnage came out. Again, I've heard no negativity. I've seen a couple of reviews online that weren't quite as positive, but like people really appreciated that like we do, at Immortal Hulk, we do things a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's different from the normal course of events. And all I've heard at this convention is people saying how much they liked it. So I feel like there is a large sector of people who really appreciate what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I mean, to those out there who maybe didn't so much, who maybe were expecting more of a sort of epic heavy metal beat and something that was a bit less melodic and elegiac and sort of conversational, give it another go. Maybe maybe it'll grow on you, maybe you get to like it.
A lot of authors have had very impactful runs on the character, from Stan Lee in the original, someone like Greg Pak or Peter David. There's been a lot of very excellent runs. However, we don't often get to see the Hulk take into kind of this horror origin that he had in the early 60s. Did you have any kind of editorial pushback with dealing with a relatively A-list character in this context?
Just the opposite. Basically, I was hired for the book because I pitched a tone, a certain tone for it. And then basically, as word of mouth grew, we kind of grew with the word of mouth, and nobody had a problem with that, with what we were doing. I pitched everything to everybody. There's a level of trust that we know what we're doing. And I think at this point, given everything, we've kind of earned that. So I'm very happy that we've been given it. And it's like, obviously, I feel like I have to, cross my fingers a little bit that we're not going to make a wrong move and crash and burn. But the wonderful thing, to go back to what you were saying about all the great runs, the great defining runs, the wonderful thing about the Hulk, out of all of the Marvel characters, he is the most changeable. And that goes right back to those first 6 issues in the 60s, where while the Fantastic Four very quickly solidified, I think the last piece of that puzzle was Reed and Sue's marriage, but even then they were very much together. But I think that the last piece, character-wise, was Ben Grimm softening up and becoming, similarly, Peter Parker, within a few issues, he's softened up. He's become like the Peter Parker we know. Certainly once the glasses come off, he's the Peter Parker we know. We are, all of these characters, all of these Marvel characters find their shapes very quickly. The Hulk, on the other hand, never does. For the first 6 issues are just like ping-ponging from idea to idea until you get issue 6, which is this kind of primal. I've taken so much from issue 6, but that's this primal set of images almost. That's like almost completely divorced from like story. And he moved from there to him being like a villain in a bunch of other books, and the method of the change, it never quite solidifies. It's like how intelligent the Hulk is. It sort of varies. It oscillates. Bruce Banner's relationship with his secret identity, it kind of, the history of the Hulk is a history of people throwing stuff at the Hulk and seeing how the character reacts, almost like an ongoing experiment. So we are just the latest experiment in an ongoing experiment of how changeable a character can be. And what I hope for is, if there is any legacy from this run, it is that the next person coming along will not, take the bits that they want from it, but change everything and bring their own unique viewpoint and their unique inner viewpoint to it. And that's all I can ask once we're done. And we're not done for a while. We're not going to be done soon. Rumors that it is ending at 25 are just nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
The first maybe 6 issues feel heavily serialized, which I really appreciated. What was the original scope of this? Did you intend this to go on for a long time, or were you unsure of it at the time?
What I pitched originally, and in the original pitch, which I don't think has seen the light of day even in the... and it's probably best it doesn't, because every part of it has now been contradicted. But the original pitch, there was a lot going like, if sales tank, we can end it here. Okay. If sales tank, we can end it here. Yeah. If sales tank, we can end it here. And like issue 3, issue 5, issue 10, issue 15.
Gotcha.
But it was like, originally I was pitching up to the Hell Arc.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like, this book, my titles, at the time I was getting cancelled a lot.
Yeah.
I had to go in thinking I might only get to issue, it's the Hulk, or maybe I'll do better than usual. I may only get to issue 15. And as it turned out, like, the Hell arc, we shortened it a little bit because we needed like 3 acts, bang, 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 very kind of. We'd found this kind of much more decompressed style by then. Yeah. So, but yeah, basically, we planned out the first 15 issues, and that was going to be like the Hulk hit, everything up to the Hulk in Hell. Yeah. And that turned out to be like Act 1 of the book, yeah. And we're just now reaching the end of Act 2, and I've got 4 acts planned. Okay. And I know the name of every trade from here on in. I know I know what the last issue is going to be. I know what the second last issue is going to be. I know what the last guest artist issue is going to be. I've got it heavily planned. I've given Joe like what I call the Hulk map, okay. Which is like, here's what happens for the rest of it. Yeah.
You know, you talk about how malleable the character is in this Marvel pantheon. And I think a lot of it is in the title itself, because it seems like in the beginning of the book, Hulk is this monolithic creature that is unstoppable, but you put him and Banner through both literal and metaphorical hell. What do you want your takeaway when you're done with all this to be on the Hulk? What differentiates your Hulk from every other Hulk for you?
If I could, like I say, what I hope for is that the next writer will do everything completely different. That said, if I had to save one piece of the book, it is the one thing I feel like I'm most proud of is all of the positive mail and positive word we've got from people with dissociative identity disorder. And, you know, whether that's a misnomer, whether it even is a disorder, but it's systems, multiples, people out there who are more than one person, have been very vocal in their appreciation for how we've been treating Banner. Bruce Banner is a system. He's a multiple. He's very early on, when I knew we were going to have more than one Hulk in there, as soon as like the big guy started popping up as like a kind of pressure valve for the Devil Hulk, I did a lot of research on DID as a condition and the nature of alters, and to the extent that I can now say that, like, you know, Devil Hulk is a protector archetype. The big guy is like a child alter. Banner himself is like the I forget the exact nomenclature, but he's like the original, the kind of the host. But he's still one of many personalities. There's a thing we're starting to get into after 25, which is that Banner himself, and it's when Joe came out in Banner's body that, and Joe is started as a kind of hostile alter, is moving towards a kind of protective figure. The more time he spends in the sun, the nicer he gets, which is something we're playing with. Sunshine Joe. And the more useful he gets, because he's, in the first 10 issues, Banner was like stealing clothes off washing lines and getting shot and like having a terrible time. You know, he's not equipped to like live on the road, on the street. He does not make a good homeless person. Joe, we've never seen him like at work. We only see the aftermath where hotel rooms have been paid for, clothes are in the closet, you know, a note has been left, plans have been made, and it's like, this is what Joe does for the system, is he sort of looks after in that way. And he's kind of found this role. But yeah, basically Banner as system and Banner as a realistic, and I hope I continue to do this, but I hope a positively, realistically portrayed system. Obviously, the Hulk brings in a fantastic element. Yeah. And we do get in issue 26, we do get into a Hulk syndrome, which is like many other Hulks have displayed DID-like symptoms without themselves having DID, so we get into that. Whereas Bruce's DID is a result of childhood trauma. Yeah. He had the condition before the Hulk. and Hulks are alters. Now, Amadeus Cho developed a DID-like condition. Can we call that actual DID? It's gone away since. So I kind of get into that, and that is part of the sort of, and we kind of have a bit of explaining of that, and we sort of come up with some reasons why, like, that might be, and how Banner has authentic, actual dissociative identity disorder, like real people have in the real world, but like other Hulks, not so much. So it's, so I mean, I'm trying to kind of walk that line and deal with things, and try and keep the comic book nature, the fantastic nature of things, while at the same time making it relatable to actual real people who deal with this. I don't want to use words like struggle with this, or because not everyone does struggle with it. Some people do. Some people, some systems are extremely organized and well functioning. And I don't want to kind of insult those systems by like calling what they're dealing with a struggle, but it is something to deal with.
Sure.
Anyway, so that is the one thing I'd like the next person to take on the Hulk to take away, that Bruce Banner has real actual DID. And to do some research, and that is the one thing I would ask.
And I hope that legacy continues. We're running out of time here, but is there anything that you would like to promote going forward?
Well, it's just been announced that I'm doing Guardians of the Galaxy starting in January. This is, I've sort of been dropping a lot of like slogans and buzzwords and various things about this. What I will say is, I haven't just been given control of the Guardians, I've been given control of space. Okay. To the extent that I am the guy in the room who says what is happening in space. A lot of future Marvel beats are going to connect with space. It's kind of my job to like string that all together into one big connecting giant arc. All the empires, all of the things. Basically, if you picked up the Guardians Annual recently, the Nova story in that was like a stealth prologue for my Guardians, and we kind of get into like the difficulties that the galaxy is in. Since then, the Nova Corps was wiped out in one of Donny's issues, so it's just Rich Rider left and a couple of like, Rich Rider, Sam Alexander, probably a couple of others, but not like a core, not an actual core. That's going to have an effect. That's sort of like this new Annihilation thing that Matthew Rosenberg is show running. Got conversations that are basically like, what are you doing, and how can I help you? How can you help me? Yeah. These are all. Anytime somebody wants to do something in space, my conversation is always, how can I help you? How can you help me? Sure. And it's like, and even if it's just me helping them, so being in charge of space, it's not like I'm not railroading over people. But I'm connecting everything, and I am building it towards my end point. 2020. In 2020, space is the place. We are building towards something. Over the course of the next year, you are going to be seeing Marvel Space in a way. Some people call it Cosmic Marvel. I always think of Cosmic Marvel as like the giant Eternity and all of that lot. I call it Marvel Space. You're going to be seeing Marvel Space in a... You're slowly going to come to see it in a much more connected way than we have, maybe since the Dan Abnett days.
I'm really excited because that Abnett and Lanning run from Annihilation all the way through Thanos Imperative was some of my favorite stuff from that decade.
His Nova book has colored how I see Nova in particular and Marvel Space in general. So we're going to see, Rocket. People are talking about... I feel like I tried for a second to pretend that it might be a different Rocket. People are assuming that Rocket wearing a suit on the cover somehow means that Donnie's stuff like isn't going to count. It absolutely will count.
Yeah.
I am taking everything Donnie is doing with Rocket into account. You know, it's like, I guess I can't keep, I'm too tired to keep playing the Is This the Same Rocket card. But really, is it the same Rocket? After you've gone through something like that, are you the same guy?
Yeah.
You know, in a real sense, the Rocket, does he survive?
Yeah.
Does the Rocket we knew survive that? That's a question. All readers know from that cover that we showed is that there's a raccoon wearing a suit.
Right.
I'm not going to spoil any more than that.
It's a good kind of cliffhanger,
Yeah.
a hook.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time.
You.
It was
Thanks
a wonderful
so much.
experience.
Thanks a lot.
Make sure you pick up Guardians of the Galaxy in 2020. As always, read Immortal Hulk. It's been phenomenal. In the meantime, you can check us out here at New York Comic Con all weekend. Check out our show, which drops every Monday. And you can follow us on all social media at The Comics Pals and subscribe to us on YouTube. Until next time, I'm Phil Casey. This is Al Ewing, and this has been The Comics Pals. Take care.